We've got coaching hires galore on this beautiful Sunday at the end of the SEC regular season. It is time to get our squad together.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
Oh, yeah, it is the SEC squad. Welcome in on this beautiful Sunday. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off your first purchase, especially if we've got some Alabama and Georgia fans heading to Atlanta. You want to get an SEC championship game ticket? Like Luke, you can do that, or Clint, you can do that over at Gametime. Gents, welcome in. Let's welcome in our panel. We've got Jay Smith, Locked On Sooners. We got Zach Blackerby, host of Locked On Auburn. Stephen Willis, host of Locked On Ole Miss. Luke Robinson, Locked On Bama. John Miller, Locked On Mizzou. And Clint Shamblin from Locked On Bulldogs. I'm Chris Gordy, host of Locked On SEC. And guys, we have got tons of nuggets. I was recording a show this morning just to talk about the Lane Kiffin LSU stuff, and boom, boom, boom. Dominoes start to fall. Jon Sumrall to Florida. We got Alex Golesh to Auburn. We got Ryan Silverfield at Arkansas. So let's start. I guess let's start with Stephen first. Stephen, the Ole Miss drama is really ramping up there in Oxford. What's the latest?
It feels like Lane Kiffin is in full burn it to the ground mode at the moment. The rumor came out from On3 that he basically told offensive staff, either come with me right now. If you coach the ball game, you will not have an offer whenever it happens. And there's rumors on that. It's all over the place. It's it is not a good situation. It's at the point where, as bad as he left Tennessee when all that went down, this is that on steroids. And honestly, I will feel sorry for LSU fans because it's coming your direction next, because every place he's left has been like this.
Zach, let's get a thought on your new head coach, Alex Golesh. It was rumored a few days ago he was possibly going to Arkansas, had an offer on the table from Arkansas, but obviously Auburn a better job.
Yeah. Sounds like he had the offer and he wanted to sit to see if the Auburn stuff happened. And I think with Sumrall trending to Florida, ended up being Alex Golesh. I mean, you look at his offensive numbers and what he did as an offensive coordinator at Tennessee, literally the best offense in college football in 23, I believe, 22. I think it might've been 22 with Hendon Hooker and a lot of those guys. Obviously super, super exciting. And then you look at what he did at South Florida the last few years, very prolific offensively. You just you hope that translates to the SEC, which it feels like it could, because he's called plays at a high level in the SEC not that long ago.
Let's open it up to the rest of you guys. What are you guys thinking of some of these moves? Like we said, Alex Golesh to Auburn, confirmed. Jon Sumrall to Florida, confirmed. Ryan Silverfield to Arkansas, confirmed. The Lane Kiffin to LSU, not fully confirmed yet, but it's all trending that direction. But what do the rest of you guys think of all these hires on this Sunday?
I think the interesting one to me still is going to be this Lane Kiffin one, because as Steven kind of mentioned it, he's really in burn it to the ground mode, because if he had made a decision first thing this morning, I think Ole Miss would have had a lot more options, as a lot of coaches probably would have jumped on that opportunity, especially because how the Grove Collective has been on the forefront of NIL. They have jumped in that feet first with excitement in getting players and spending money. And if Lane would have just said something 9 o'clock this morning, or even last night or Saturday morning, like the expectation was, they probably would have rounded up and got themselves maybe a coach they would have preferred. Now they're it's going to be scramble mode until Lane just makes this decision, unless he's doing like the ultimate troll job, which I don't think he is. But I also like the Alex Golesh pickup by Auburn. As Zach mentioned, his offense in Tennessee were great. We wondered if it was him or Heupel. He leaves. Heupel kind of struggles a little bit, and then he gets back going because Joe Milton obviously wasn't the good quarterback for that system. But, Heupel got back to his bearings because he went back to taking over for the most part. But he did really good. And then at South Florida, you saw some fun out of him. So I think that he's going to be a really solid hire. I'm glad I don't play Auburn next season, so I don't have to worry about seeing that. But I actually like that hire a lot. Silverfield, I don't know. Is it going to be another Mike Norvell? That's kind of where I'm kind of wondering on that one. That's the thing that concerns me.
Yeah, this Lane thing is very interesting to me. I'm not defending Lane. I don't think he's great. However, if I'm Ole Miss, I want the next coach to be set up for success. I want to have a good program. I want to have playoff wins, and I don't want to make things as public as possible. So Lane is doing his thing. Great. Everybody knew who he was when he came from wherever he came from. It was a known commodity. Ole Miss, now I'm very confused with how everybody's handling this. If I'm Ole Miss, I'm shutting things down. I'm not talking. I'm saying all the PC things in the entire world to set my school up for success coming forward. Right now, let Lane go and let him burn bridges and let him do his thing. It's almost like you could be right. Yeah, Lane's kind of a sleazeball. Okay, cool, great. Let him go talk about that. Let him be him. And you handle your business so that you're set up next. That's the thing in this that I'm very confused by and why we probably saw dominoes start falling in a lot of senses today and ongoing with all these hires. Coaches are going to other programs that won't have this sort of drama surrounding them. Even Auburn. I mean, I'm not taking a shot at Auburn. Well, I kind of am because I want to. But even Auburn has a good hire here in my estimation because they just went about doing their business. And this, it's just confusing to me. You can be right or you can set yourself up for success going forward. And if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I want to set myself up for success going forward and let Lane burn bridges as he's on his way out.
What, Clint, when you look at that, it's the opinion, is Ole Miss good because of Lane or is Ole Miss good because of the other stuff? And the Ole Miss fans think it's because of the other stuff, the Grove Collective and all of that. And this circus sideshow is on the other side of things. Ole Miss can't just let this happen. If this was Kirby Smart and he took the job at Florida and he did all of this because he wanted to coach the biggest game in Florida's history and make a 4-hour recruiting commercial, it would upset you. I don't like the disrespect that Ole Miss got from the Jimmy Sexton agency on ESPN. That was a show on Saturday of what was going on. But yes, Ole Miss fans rightly, they're a top 5 team in the country, have the right to stick up for themselves and not just take this. I'm sorry.
Ole Miss is not in the same category as other programs. That's the problem. Ole Miss fan wants to think that it's other things. Then why wasn't it before Lane? Like, that's the issue for me. If Ole Miss is in fact good enough without Lane, then let them walk. Then you're fine on your NIL and your players and everything else and the Grove Collective. You don't need them. Let him go.
At this point, they have to let him go. You have to cut bait at this point. I can't even imagine.
At this point, they can fire him with cause.
I mean, they should.
They
honestly.
should.
I honestly
Absolutely.
think that they should at this point. I can't believe it's gotten to this point. I guess I'm naive with Lane Kiffin. A few weeks ago, I thought, you know what? This guy's gotten sober. He's back with his ex-wife. Seems like he's really turned the corner here. I just would have never imagined him with a playoff team doing this. It's absolutely astonishing. I think it's disgusting, to be honest with you. I don't want to be a hot take guy. I just think it's awful what Lane Kiffin's done. You can't have it both ways. This is childish. Make a decision. You want to be in the playoff, then stay with Ole Miss. That's the only option.
I think it's embarrassing for LSU too to be
agree.
like, oh, we're like paying, we're willing to borderline break the market for this guy.
More money than Kirby Smart for Lane Kiffin.
It's ridiculous.
Is it not an upgrade though, guys? Like LSU is an upgrade.
I mean, it's an upgrade in terms of a program. I think that's pretty undeniable, although right this very minute, Ole Miss is certainly in a better position than LSU. However, that's the whole thing with me. This thing got into a race for a guy who's just, in the end, not that super proven. And it's weird how – I mean, it's sort of like being the – if in recruiting world, if there's like one big hot 3-star name out there and everybody starts throwing NIL deals at him, and you're like, wait a minute, you're not even paying the dudes that are good on your team that much. What are you doing? And I feel like, look, in the end, Lane is acting childish. But, a snake, don't be mad at the snake when the snake bites you. I mean, Lane was this guy when he got there. He's going to be this guy when he leaves. He ain't going to LSU. And it's been kind of funny. Everybody's thinking he's having he's had an epiphany. He's growing up. I mean, not really. I mean, this is just who he is. And he's going to do the same thing at LSU. So while everybody is going to celebrate his going to LSU, it's going to be the talk of the town. It's a home run hire, blah, blah, blah. In about 3 years, somebody is going to, or maybe less than that, somebody's going to put out something. It's kind of weird. Does anybody else notice Lane Kiffin hadn't been at the facility for like 2 weeks? Does anybody else think that's weird? And then some other things will start filtering out, and before you know it, he'll leave them in a pile of rubble.
Let me just put this out. Chris Lowe just putting this out there. Lane Kiffin has lined up most of his offensive staff to join him at LSU. So, so this becomes difficult. Like, how's Ole Miss get through a playoff? Like, if he's taking the whole offensive staff.
Well, luckily, Ole Miss has like 25 analysts that they have as well, and they can coach on field. So on-field coaches that are going, if they take McDonald and the offensive line coach and the running backs coach, there are positions in that position group that have experience calling plays. You just wouldn't have the frontline guys.
Does Ole Miss do the same ultimatum to players as well? If you're not going to be with us next year, you can't be in the playoff with us.
They do. If you that's the reason they had one opt out for the Gator Bowl last year, because everybody thought that Ole Miss players were just going to opt out, but the Grove Collective structured it in a way to where they needed to be there.
Let's play devil's advocate, guys. Should they have entertained the idea of letting him finish? Because we see Jon Sumrall is good. Okay, I'm just saying, Jon Sumrall is going to be allowed to coach Tulane as far as they go potentially in the playoffs. Eric Morris has accepted the Oklahoma State job. I get it. It's in the SEC, their rival. That's the reason why not. But is there a reason why they maybe could have? Because LSU was saying, we'll let Lane coach the playoff if he wants.
Of course, LSU wanted him to.
Should Ole Miss have entertained that, though, and try to win a championship while he's still there?
No, they shouldn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the way that that will be done is he's basically advertising himself out there to recruits, to transfers, saying, hey, look at what I'm doing here.
Anyway?
Come join me.
I'm LSU.
He's already done that. You shouldn't give him more free marketing, free advertising. Get him out of there, get her done, and just be over with it. You should just completely break up. Like, I understand what you're saying, Gordy, because Ole Miss deserves better in this situation. Let's just put it that way. They deserve better, because I think it is very much blatantly disrespectful, but they make sense for not letting him coach it. Why in the hell would you let him do that after because he hasn't done it in a graceful way to
because
deserve
Lane Kiffin
that
is such a paragon of virtue. We can definitely
right.
trust
Well, that's what
him
I'm saying.
for
Like,
the next
he
few
didn't do
weeks.
this in a
Like, what are we
graceful way
talking
whatsoever.
about here? That's
Y'all,
insane.
this isn't your pastoral church. This ain't church, y'all. Like, I hate to come back, but this is a football program, and your job is to win games. And you're in a playoff.
Does this help you win?
But
Does having Lane Kiffin around help you win at this point? At this point, does that help you win? I don't think it does.
The players have revolted on him. I mean, there's nothing they can do at this point. They've revolted
Gordy,
on him.
let me put it this way, Gordy. If you come home and you walk in on your wife with another man, you don't say, "Oh, I see y'all are in the middle of something. We'll divorce right after y'all are finished." No,
This is
you say.
Looks like y'all are having a good time. Let's see if we can keep it going for a while, and then you can move on.
This isn't a marriage. This is not a marriage. This is not a wife. This is not a husband. This is not children. This is not a family.
So you think there's just no locker room dynamics here at play whatsoever?
You're exactly right. There's locker room dynamics. And if Ole Miss was to say, Lane, you're a POS, I get it. You are on your way out. I get it. You want to go. Cool. How do we make this the best breakup possible? Now what they're saying is,
that train has left the station.
You're right, it did leave the station.
But he made that leave the station.
I don't think that was ever realistic, but
I
hear your point. I hear your point, Clint. I really do. You're saying, hey, put all that emotional stuff aside and let's win the freaking championship.
Let's win games.
I'm with you. I just think, boy, we're way past that point.
That was
frankly, I think that idea was unrealistic in the first place.
But
I appreciate the thought. I just think that's a little Pollyannish, especially when Lane Kiffin is involved.
Yeah.
Obviously,
A little what?
Pollyannish. Wow. You know what a Pollyanna is? It means you're like basically grossly naive.
Okay, got it.
It could have happened
clouds,
before
that
there
kind
was
of
an
thing.
ultimatum given. It could have happened before Lane did what he did. Both parties, like, this is a whole cluster. Completely agree. If 2 weeks ago we said, look, we're heading to use your example, heading to divorce. Okay, fine. How do we split up things well? How do we have an arbitrator come in? How do we end things amicably?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Now,
Right.
I'm trust me. They should fire him with cause today. Like, it shouldn't be an announcement. You should be fired today.
Well, the problem is, I think they owe him a buyout, right? If they fire him before
Not with cause.
Not with cause.
Not with cause. They can fire him with cause, I think, right now, because there's been some weird stuff going on. And like the last time, Ole Miss told Lane no twice in 6 years. The first time was when the ultimatum happened. And we know what happened after that? Lane Kiffin decided to play SEC job tender publicly publicly sending planes all around, lashing out. That was the first time. The second time was this. We need a decision right now. We need to know what's going on. We need you not to coach the playoff game if you're going to LSU, and this is what's happening. Let's just blow it all up. And it's not necessarily Ole Miss is doing, other than the fact that they did say no twice in 6 years, but it's ridiculous, guys.
I wonder if any of this scares LSU fans right now. I mean, I'd be a little nervous about. I mean, yes, you're happy. Yes, Ole Miss is a big rival, so you're screwing them too, and you like that aspect of it. But in the end, aren't you?
You're not going to fix him,
huh?
No,
you're not going to fix him. He's not going to change for you.
I know that's what I'm saying. If you're an LSU fan, aren't you like?
Yeah. I don't really like it right now,
this guy's the one?
agree on that.
I think the thought is you're going to ride this train as long as it goes. You get a 4 or 5 year window with Lane at LSU, you try to win a championship. I think most LSU fans get he's weird, and if an NFL gig opens up in a couple years and he does well, the hope though is at least he gets it more than Brian Kelly did. Brian Kelly was stuck in the old school, wasn't willing to do the work. Lane's willing to do the work, but yes, you have to. If you're an LSU fan, you almost have to just take what comes with him. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it is what it is.
They're hoping that he can replicate what the other 3 of the last 4 coaches ever did there was win a championship and then eventually get fired with cause for doing something stupid. So that's what they're hoping for.
Saban didn't get fired for cause. He left.
I mean, Saban doesn't count. Saban was like the only good coach, though. Let me say that. The bad coaches got fired with cause where Saban went to the NFL. Which, at the same time, if Lane does the same thing, and he, like you said, if he goes to the NFL, that's actually another scenario.
This is really weird. LSU, this is kind of one of their problems. LSU has had success, but this is a standard for them. They go through little windows with a coach, they win, and then they melt the whole thing down, and they do it again. This is
maybe
LSU.
It's a perfect fit then.
Yes, as weird as that is, I wouldn't want it. I hate it. It's the worst for me. I want stability in my program, but LSU and Lane Kiffin are made for each other.
And to your point, LSU, if it does go bad, they can recover. They always seem to. They always seem to land on their feet one way or the other.
They did have some stability. Les Miles was there decades. There was stability there with him. It just kind of ran its course at the end because he wouldn't adapt to the changes. Saban did. Saban hired Lane Kiffin, which was so out of the box for Nick Saban, but he knew he had to do it to adapt. The Ogeron thing I still say is a success because 2019 will go down as one of the greatest seasons ever. So, yes, you take the bad from Ogeron because the good was so great. But they missed on the Kelly thing. Look, I stand here today saying I thought Hugh Freeze and Brian Kelly were going to be home run hires. They failed on both levels. Are LSU and Auburn in better spots today moving forward? I think so. Lane Kiffin at LSU and Alex Golesh at Auburn, I think, I'm going to say on the record today, I think are both great hires. Will they win championships? We'll see.
We picked up Russia as a pipeline.
Okay.
Y'all are laughing. I think Zach really believes that, along with a lot of
That is so awesome. I love it. I'm about to start crying. That is so good.
Before we move on from this topic, though, guys, is there a way to fix this? How do we fix this? If this same scenario presents itself in a couple, because Alabama will see on Kalen DeBoer, but that man is dead man walking every year there until he wins a championship. So, let's say same thing happens. Let's say Golesh is awesome at Auburn, and they decide to steal him away, but Auburn's going to the playoff with Golesh. You know what I mean? If this same thing happens, how do you fix this?
I think you do the same thing they're doing with the players. Make a transfer portal window to where it's a little bit later in the year. If it's good enough for the players, it's good enough for the coaches, which basically have free reign to do whatever they want anyway. And if people happen to make contact during the season, put tampering rules in place. Do like the NFL does. I mean, that's the best. If this happened at the end of January or whenever it is, move the transfer portal window to April or May or something like that.
February.
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with
Should the Lane Kiffin example, though, be a reason that we change things, or are there other examples that are more normal?
I think after the 1st of January is when you should allow for contact for coaches, because then that does hit that transfer portal. But you're right, Zach. That is a good question.
I'll just say to Zach's
Pat just
point.
made a good point, because basing any rule on what Lane Kiffin is like saying, you're building a asteroid shelter because you're really worried about the possibility, one in a gazillion possibility that an asteroid is going to hit your house. You don't base a rule on a complete anomaly. I mean, it's Lane Kiffin is out there. There's no more Lane Kiffins. There's no more Nick Sabans. Don't base things on those people. They're different. They're unicorns. And Lane Kiffin is a kind of a weirdo. I mean, he's a funny weirdo, but you don't want to base a whole rule on him. I think Zach's right.
I think, well, look at the American Conference. The conference championship game is going to be Tulane versus North Texas. Both of the coaches have been hired by Power 5 institutions. You should not be asked before a conference championship game whether or not you are going to be coaching said school in conference championship game. So it at least needs to get past that to where you can't announce, move the signing day to June. Have the early signing day to June, have the late signing day in February, and spread things out to where this calendar isn't so sped up.
I just got used to this one.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I'm confused. I'm old. I can't be handling all of that. But no, with the early signing period too, because if anything, college football schedule should have been changed anyway. We really should not be playing college football all the way to MLK Day, period. Like the national championship needs to be resolved literally the weekend after the first. That would make life so much. Actually,
how do you do that? We're expanding the playoff again soon.
Right. That's the problem. That's where the problems lie. And logistically, I don't know how you can even make that work, but you do need to find a way to fix this schedule. We don't need to be playing games in January besides the national championship at some place. So if you play the games the weekend of the first, then great. You have the last two teams left. In that situation, those coaches most likely will not be leaving their jobs. So then, do it that right after that. Portal opens. You can do coaching situations there. All of that needs to happen right there around the first of the year. That way we can follow the school schedule like we're supposed to, at least pretend like they're student athletes since we're forcing them to go to school anyway. We're not a professional league yet, so they're forced to go to school. Pretend like it's their school involved in this and go that route. That's probably the best you can do today. But this whole schedule's screwed up regardless. There's not much you can really do today. Pisses me off. Sorry.
Well, let's move on, guys, because we do want to get to some of the other coaching hires, and we'll discuss whether or not these are
other coaches got hired.
Yeah, it was a lot of dominoes falling this morning. We'll discuss more in just a second here on the Squad Show. And we first want to remind you guys about our friends at the Gametime app. I don't know if you guys know, but the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And Gametime app, they're going to have your ticket in to get into the building. Of course, SEC championship game happening this weekend in Atlanta. They've got those tickets for Georgia and Alabama fans up there at the Gametime app. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time. You can get alerts when great seats open. You can buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to even the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Every match, concert, or event with Gametime. Download Gametime app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. All right, guys, as we get back into it, we kind of glossed over. We got Zach's thoughts, but what do y'all think of the Alex Golesh hire? It seems like, Zach, what's the feedback are you getting from Auburn fans? It sounds like most Auburn fans are pretty optimistic about it, and I was a little worried last night, though. When they said team meeting at 10 a.m., I was like, oh, don't go to DJ Durkin. But I think in this world, do you expect DJ Durkin will be retained as the DC?
I do. That was certainly the talk during a lot of the coaching search. That was like, okay, how would this head coach pair with DJ Durkin if he's retained as defensive coordinator? But you're right, Gordon. I went to bed last night thinking it was DJ Durkin. I woke up this morning thinking it was DJ Durkin. Then I got some calls this morning, and I'm like, oh, okay, we got something brewing here. And then a few minutes before this team meeting started, it leaked out, and folks started to report it. So, admittedly, he's not a guy I looked at a ton during Auburn's coaching search. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff that I looked at, this morning and what was in the press release that Auburn sent out. But obviously was, turned South Florida around pretty quickly as far as, the previous 3 years before he got there. They had won 4 games and he's got them winning now. And then he had Tennessee as one of the best offenses in college football when he was an offensive coordinator there. So I like it. Are there some questions? Is it still somewhat of a risk? Yeah, but I mean, I think all of the realistic possibilities for Auburn's coaching search, there were big questions around them anyway. So I like it. Is my first impressions on it.
Luke, are you, as an Alabama fan, does Golesh scare you?
Scare me, no, but I do think look, when this was ultimately Hugh Freeze was fired, I said, that's if I'm Auburn, that's who I go for a couple of reasons. He has sort of an interesting backstory, which I think Auburn people will gravitate towards. He's sort of an underdog guy. He apparently went to Ohio State, which I didn't know till very recently, which I think is also kind of cool. I mean, he's been around a bunch of success. He's sort of a, no nonsense, gritty, get his hands dirty kind of guy. And, he also had some success against Alabama, which is a requisite. He didn't beat Alabama, but he played Alabama twice, I think. And then he, of course, was the offensive coordinator, I think, when they beat Alabama in 22. So those things, Auburn people look favorably upon. So I was hoping Auburn wasn't going to get him, and it didn't look like they were, and now they have, and I'm sort of PO'd about it. But it's not like it's the scariest hire in history. I think it's a really good hire, though. I'm not going to lie.
It is an interesting hire. A hypal disciple. I just like that. I think we should put that on a T-shirt.
Do you think? I know this hadn't opened up or anything, but I wonder if Golesh is at Auburn long enough to see Heupel get fired, because I think some Tennessee folks are getting a little uneasy with him now, which isn't fair, but I think they are.
Yeah. They are absolutely 100%. And it's weird to me. I hope they keep. If I'm Auburn, I would want to keep Durkin completely, because I wanted a DC. If I'm Auburn, I wanted a defensive-minded coach. And Golesh being a Heupel disciple, that's the one piece of this that stops me from saying it's a home run. It's a very solid hire, and I like it, which is offensive-minded, sure. I actually would want to see, again, if I'm an Auburn fan, go defensive-minded and then get an OC, because that's what college football has done a great deal. The play callers are head coaches who don't give up the calling duties. And so on this one, very, very good hire. I don't know if it's home run for that. If they keep Durkin, maybe all of a sudden now we're talking about really a stew that's cooking.
I just have a bigger thought on the whole cycle. I think this was kind of a wake-up call for some of these programs, because outside of Lane Kiffin going to LSU, that's going to be really the only splash hire. Don't get me wrong, maybe it works out at Auburn, it works out at Florida. I think Penn State is in the same spot right now. They were going, hey, I thought we were going to get Kirk Cignetti or Eli Drinkwitz or Kalen DeBoer or Marcus Freeman. I thought especially most of those were totally unrealistic, especially Freeman and DeBoer, in my opinion. But I'm just saying, a lot of these guys have stayed with their teams, and I think a lot of Florida fans in particular thought, oh, we'll basically just get whoever we want. I was trying to tell you guys, you're probably going to have to gamble on another group of 5 guy. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't, but just this idea that they were just going to get some sure thing, that just doesn't really happen all that much anymore.
I'm the opposite of Clint. I would say I don't think it's a good idea. I'm being honest. I don't think it's a good idea to bring Durkin on, just because I think probably a lot of the players did want Durkin there as a head coach. And so and Durkin probably wanted the job. He can't help but have a little bit of animosity and a little bit of jealousy about it. And again, I mean, we're not immune to those human emotions when you're a coach, and they could come into play. I just look at it like, if you're going to hire a coach and you're going to hire an Alex Golesh, if you don't put all these, you must do these bullet points to be our coach. No, let him come in and coach. If you believe in him, let him do it. And I think Alex Golesh is good enough to have some success. I just think when you handcuff him to a certain coordinator, that could backfire on everybody.
It's a good one. The best part of Auburn all year has been the defense. So, if they can retain him, and does his relationship with some of the guys help? Like, I think he can go, hey, look, Deuce Knight, Cam Coleman, this guy knows his offense. Trust me. Like, I don't know. I think this Auburn thing could turn around very quickly, Zach. Although I looked at your schedule next year, and I don't know. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. And I do think it's more manageable now than it was when it was announced, because of the Ole Miss and LSU factors. But still, it's going to be tough. Everybody's schedule is going to be tough.
That's true. SEC, baby. That's always hard.
That's what going to nine games is going to do.
How's Alex's golf game?
I hope he doesn't have one.
I think the fascinating one, that's the right answer.
Do they
the
golf
fascinating thing about
Russia?
this hire,
I don't know.
About this hire to me too is Alex Golesh's 2 years at South Florida. He's had two in his 3 years there. He's had 2 quarterbacks throw for over 3,000 yards. I wonder if he can get Auburn over that hump and get them another 3,000 yards for the first time since Jared Stidham. That will be intriguing to me next season. That's what I'm going to be watching, is can he get this offense supercharged up to where he's able to get a 3,000-yard passer? Because we've had a few offensive geniuses that have gone to Auburn and have yet to be able to figure it out. I want to see if he can do it.
The other thing, wrinkle I just saw, Coastal Carolina fired their coach this morning. Tulane will be open now. I'm just thinking of these jobs that maybe Durkin, if he didn't get the Auburn job, may want to throw his name in the hat in some of these other jobs that are open. So,
yeah, I mean, they just my understanding is they just broke ground on a house. Like they want to stay here. So I got a feeling DJ is going to be pretty flexible to do what it takes to stay here.
And can Golesh get a 3,000-yard passer with the current roster? That's the next question in all of this. Fine. Coaching, DC, OC, okay, great. But from what I've seen of Auburn's quarterback so far, it's the same thing at Bama. When Grubbs came in this year, all of a sudden Ty Simpson, hello. Now the run game's taking a step back, but that passing game.
I think Auburn's got 2 good quarterbacks on their roster. Now you got to keep them. But like I was impressed with what I saw from Ashton Daniels against Bama and against Vandy. And then obviously I was impressed with what Deuce did against Mercer. Different kind of situation. But
college first time in college. Got to see something for real.
Yeah.
It matters.
Yeah. No, so I mean I was pleased with that. I mean, Ashton surprised me a ton last night. Auburn's offense did way more than I expected them to.
We're getting some comments. People were surprised a lot. You didn't know what Pollyanna meant. Good pull on John Miller. We're also getting a lot of comments. People asking where the Florida guy is to come talk about his new coach. What do you guys make of the Jon Sumrall hire? Look, everything I've heard about Jon Sumrall, people love him at Troy, at Tulane. He's just been a winner everywhere he's been. But there's a lot of Florida fans, guys, that are comparing this to Billy Napier. You want at the lower level, can you win at the big level? What do you make of this hire?
That's the exact same thing I'm thinking, too, with this one, is that you went back to the G5 after saying you weren't going to do that. You said that you were not going to hire another guy from the G5. You went back and hired another guy from the G5. I like Jon Sumrall. He's a fantastic recruiter, especially in the South. He did well. He's done well everywhere he's gone, and I know he has ties in the SEC where he can get some talent. His Tulane teams were really talented. He can get some players. But it's just funny that they said they weren't going to do this, and they did it.
Yeah, if Florida fans' reactions to him, it's like, well, I'm a little surprised he went there. I mean, it's so negative. Like, why are you like excited to go there? But yeah, I mean, as a guy who covered a coaching search where it really felt like Sumrall to Auburn was the most likely scenarios before even Hugh Freeze was fired. I had Sumrall as like number 3 on my wish list. For what it's worth, I didn't have Golesh on my wish list at all. So I was pretty high on Sumrall. Wasn't my number 1 choice, but I do think he's a good coach.
Who was your one?
Dillingham.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
That would have been a home run hire.
That would have been a great hire.
I knew you were going to say Drinkwitz too.
Florida, that would have been a great hire.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised Eli Drinkwitz stayed. I'm not going to lie to you.
I honestly think it was LSU or bust for Drinkwitz. I think he was the backup plan to Lane. If Lane stayed at Ole Miss, I think maybe Drinkwitz would have left. But to a kind of a previous point I wanted to make here on Drinkwitz again, I had been predicting the whole time that Drinkwitz would stay, but if he had left in this scenario where Mizzou's just shy of making the playoff, it wouldn't have shocked me. What would have 100% shocked me is if Mizzou were in the playoff and then Drinkwitz were pulling the Lane Kiffin move. Again, to Zach and Luke's point, I just can't really see anybody else doing that, to be honest with you. I certainly couldn't see Drinkwitz doing it, and he's sort of almost seen as Lane Kiffin light, I think, by like national people.
You don't want that.
I don't even think he would come close to pulling that move on Missouri.
No, he wouldn't have. And that's what's weird about this Florida hire. It is, I heard from multiple people that Lincoln Riley was somebody people wanted or he wanted. There was some sort of connection there. And then it got thrown out. They didn't want that. I think they wanted somebody else that they might be able to mold. Florida's a very weird situation. Toxicity within that NIL collective and those boosters and those higher ups that are there. We've seen it out in public with it. But people forget Sumrall. Well, maybe they haven't forgotten, but look, he's got SEC roots all the way around. Kentucky, Ole Miss. He knows these places. He knows these states. He knows what to do. Same thing. It feels the same to Auburn. It's not a home run hire for me. I'm not terrified by Sumrall at Florida, but I do think it could be maybe a notch above Billy Napier 2.0. If he learns from Billy, don't play call, don't go hire 28 different intern assistants all over the place, be more kind of standard traditional SEC. He might have something there.
The one thing to take note here, I think both Sumrall and Golesh are walking into better situations than their predecessors did. So they may have more success just because the rosters are better. But again, the schedules are going to be harder, so who knows?
I got something for you guys. It looks like we may have a Mike Elko / Mark Stoops situation on our hands at Arkansas. Arkansas fans, according to Sidelines Arkansas, organizing a protest of the Silverfield hire at noon outside of the Jones Center football facility.
Tennessee as well.
Okay.
Yep, here we go.
What?
Here we go.
Why?
Well,
I mean, who do you want?
I was going to say, who do you want then? That's the thing. That was my whole point. This is a wake-up call. If it's not a wake-up call to Penn State and Auburn, it certainly should be to Arkansas fans. My goodness. When did you guys count? You were in the top tier.
They need to figure out how to stop an outside zone play first before they worry about his coaching.
Maybe not commit a penalty.
Our guy
There
John
were
Neighbors.
12 people at that game yesterday. And so now the fans want. If you wanted to show fan support, if you wanted to show the power of the fans, show up against Missouri. There were 12 people there. The stands were horrible. It was a horrible look for everybody. So
Our guy,
that's so irritating. I mean, like, who do you want to hire? This guy's not a bad coach.
Right. Like they know anything, these people protesting. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Our guy John Neighbors, this was his response in our group chat this morning. It's awful, and I mean this. This fan base has never been more angry than they are right now. So,
Yikes.
but to your point, guys, like, who did you want? Like, that's
Let's be adults here.
You weren't angry when you hired the guy who was caught on a moped with a co-ed or the wife, and you rehired him. This is the maddest you've ever been.
Yeah.
Holy cow! I mean, some people just don't have a sense of history.
We can't all get Alex Golesh. I get it.
That's true.
And you know what, man? I mean, can we do something that doesn't just involve Auburn? You just got to sneak it in there right at the last second.
When we return, guys, we do need to hit on. We have some news coming out of Ole Miss.
Hold on, Gordy. I'm sorry. Luke, you literally made your assessment about Auburn hiring Golesh about Bama. I don't want to hear that.
I'm sorry. I mean, you think it's a coincidence?
Not everything's about Alabama, Luke.
Huh?
Think about that for once.
Hugh Freeze is probably going to get the Memphis job, by the way.
Hey, Luke, the reason why, because we don't have to do a coaching search every 3 years. And so for you and I, we don't have PTSD about it. They do. Let them vent. Let them have therapy, man.
Good point.
Fair point. That's a very fair point.
News out of Oxford when we come back.
Yay.
Hey, do you have a friend like Zach Blackerby that you really want to just send him the perfect holiday gift? Maybe Luke is looking for something from Zach this holiday season. Might I recommend Omaha Steaks? They deliver handcrafted perfection right to your door. And this week, best time to jump in. They got their cyber sale going on. The deals are huge. I said this a couple years ago when we moved into our house. The prior homeowner, somebody sent them some Omaha Steaks we got them by accident. So let me try these out. And I love them. And now every year I've ordered Omaha Steaks because they are delicious. And of course, you could save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. All you got to do is visit omahasteaks.com. You get 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And hey, you want an additional $35 off, use our promo code COLLEGE at checkout. So if you got a Luke Robinson in your life that you want to send some steaks, a Zach Blackerby that you want to go, hey, Auburn sucks, but here's some steaks. Go to omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See their website for details.
I hate y'all. Gosh,
I want that to be my promo code. Auburn sucks, so here's some steaks.
I can't stand
20% off.
Some news coming out of Ole Miss, guys. Chris Lowe just tweeted this moments ago. Defensive coordinator Pete Golding is expected to remain at Ole Miss, will coach the Rebels in the playoff. Golding is also a candidate to replace Kiffin as Ole Miss head coach. So this is almost, I don't know if it's a job interview for him, but that would be the most likely situation there for Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think it's a tryout, honestly, if we're going to be completely real about it. We've got to the point where Ole Miss getting the play, they should be favored. They should have a G5 type game to where they play Tulane or something like that again. But now it gets weird. It's going to get weird. So that environment is going to be extremely stressful. If Ole Miss can come out and play pretty well in that would probably look very favorably upon Pete Golding if he gets the job.
Is he the next Kirby? Guy that was DC at Alabama for a long time under Saban?
Kirby was a good defensive coordinator.
Gordy. Thank you. Yeah, Kirby was the best recruiter and the best DC in the nation. What are we doing? Let's not
he's been a good
pull in
recruiter.
Georgia's logo here and try to up somebody. Don't do that. Don't do clout trolling with Georgia.
Yeah, I don't know about long term, but short term, this strikes me as really good news for Ole Miss because if Lane Kiffin is truly giving everybody an ultimatum on staff, if you're keeping your DC around, that's probably about as good of an interim coach as you were going to get in this particular moment.
That's true.
Yeah, the question's going to be the offensive coordinator. Does Charlie Weiss go down there because that's his boy, or will it be Joe Judge or one of the analysts taking up and getting that play calling role? So there's questions that could be answered, and I'm sure that Ole Miss is about to put a blitz out with the players and everything. As soon as they figure out how it's going to be done, they're going to start blitzing that information to the media and getting that out there so they don't lose the PR war.
And maybe I don't have a good pulse on Ole Miss. So Steven, everybody, there was a lot of clamoring about how angry fans were of the DC and defense this year and calling for his job a handful of times. I remember a lot of smoke around this. Is this now kind of pivoting on it, or was that just all smoke from an angry fan base the whole year?
Anybody that was calling for his job was just mad because they didn't play well against Georgia. I mean, that's what that was. There was nobody really calling for his job. The man's beloved in Oxford. He's the second highest paid assistant in college football. Like I said, the question is going to be the offensive side of the ball. And if we're going to be honest about it, that's the side of the ball that this year Ole Miss made their bones. So you've got to get that right. And you have to make the committee think that you are going to get that right. That is Ole Miss's only job for the next 2 weeks, is to make the committee think that the Ole Miss offense is going to be good.
The interesting part too is, so if Golding's not following Kiffin to LSU, will LSU try to retain Blake Baker as their defense coordinator? Because there were reports that Jon Sumrall was going to try to bring him to Florida. So again, just talk about good DC. And then if Tulane's open, Blake Baker's alma mater is Tulane. So that might be an easy hire for them if he has head coaching aspirations. So anyway, just
hire Coach O.
Well, he's going to join the staff, but I don't think you think he's a good DC? He's more D-line coach.
Oh, he was the DC when I was at Ole Miss, so I've seen what kind of a DC he is. So yeah, hire Coach O.
I've got a little experience with Blake Baker. I was just going to say on Blake Baker real quick, I kind of get the feeling he probably would want to try to stay around LSU if he can. But yeah, that Tulane head job would definitely be tempting too.
And the interesting part about Golding is he's from Hammond, Louisiana, an hour up the road from Baton Rouge, his wife too. And so you would have thought he wanted to move there. But this kind of feels like the Brian Kelly thing. When Brian Kelly was coming to Baton Rouge, the reports came out, he wants Marcus Freeman to follow him. Well, Notre Dame jumped in immediately and went, no, we're hiring him as head coach. And it's worked out. Now, Marcus Freeman's been awesome, probably better than Brian Kelly. So you almost wonder, is Ole Miss in the same boat? Do they go, no, you're not taking, Golding, and then maybe Golding turns out to be the right guy for Ole Miss moving forward. We'll see.
It absolutely could work out. It absolutely could. He's a bright guy. He's a really good football coach.
Let's get into kind of just a quick thought on the games yesterday and Friday, guys. Obviously, Alabama, they find a way to get the win in Auburn. I think fourth straight one-score game at Auburn in the Iron Bowl, so these games are always close down there. But Alabama pulls it out. Alabama versus Georgia in the SEC championship game, and we know Alabama has owned that rivalry for some reason or another.
What are we doing?
What are you guys feeling? Early vibe on the SEC title game?
Not excited because Ty Simpson is banged up. Jan Miller's hurt now. We've got other dudes that are, it's this time of year, everybody's banged up. I get it. But I think the season, the schedule has worn down Alabama to a degree. That being said, for whatever reason, Alabama has success against Georgia that nobody else does. So, I mean, something magical could happen. But right now, I am pessimistic about Alabama's outlook, which is frightening in this sense because I think the College Football Playoff Committee is talking out of all sides of everybody's mouths. And Alabama should be a lock to be in this thing. You should not be penalized for having to play Georgia again in Atlanta. Just shouldn't be. But I'm afraid they could, even though last year they didn't feel like penalizing SMU. So I'm worried. I feel like this is going to be a very difficult game. Kalen DeBoer is awesome in these big moments. However, this is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, this game, I watched Alabama not be able to run all year long. And that got me excited. It truly did, about a rematch, because now our defensive backs, this defense for Georgia is a completely different defense than early in the season. It's one of the better ones. Hey, there he is. Florida, you can get your shots in a second here, Brandon. But this defense was very excited for me. I saw the DBs come alive. Ellis Robinson is the best defensive back we have now. He has blossomed into elite. He can shut anybody down. The defensive pass rush is there. Seeing Jam Miller and Ty Simpson get hobbled, I'm not cheering for it, but it showed me basically everything should be pointing me to optimism. Like, I should be saying, yes, we should, but I'm not. It's Bama, and I hate my life that for whatever reason that freaking colors come across Georgia's helmets and we just start pissing down our leg in these games, and I hate it. So, yes, I should be optimistic. I'm with you, but at the same time, no, SEC championship with Alabama, as you said, not getting in the playoff except to win this game and get a lock. It terrifies me. I hate this week.
So, with that being said, you made mention of a color that terrifies you. Is there a possibility that we could translate that color over my direction when we play y'all next year?
No, not a chance. We don't get terrified by offenses that can't throw. So
wow. Clint, I thought we loved each other. I still
John,
love you, but that was good. That was actually well played. I'm going to give you that. But I want to pass this to Brandon.
Oh, wait,
Brandon.
hang on, real quick. Show of hands. Who likes early read, or who likes Alabama to beat Georgia the SEC title? Raise your hand. Okay, so we got two.
Until Georgia consistently does it, I have to take
It's pretty consistent, yeah. It's DeBoer's thing. It's like DeBoer is like Kirby's kryptonite for some reason. Like, so every coach has that one coach that they just cannot freaking figure out. It just irks them. It feels like DeBoer and Grubb is that person to Kirby.
The rest of you like Georgia, I'm assuming. So,
and for Lane, it's Mark Stoops.
We just got a lead add to our show here. Our buddy Brandon Olson, Locked on Gators. Brandon, you in the chat. I mean, everybody was like, "Where's the Florida guy? Bring the Florida guy in." So we'll pose the question to you, Jon Sumrall: is he the next Urban Meyer, or is he the next Billy Napier?
I don't think he's the next Billy Napier. I'll say that, because I will also pose the question to anybody that does say he's the next Billy Napier. Outside of coaching in the G5 in the state of Louisiana, please tell me how, because there are really not similarities like that. But it's fun. Like, I get it. It's fun to be mad about it. I think that the fan base would have been pissed if it was anybody not named Lane Kiffin. I think that's really what it comes down to.
That's a fair point.
Because that's what so many of us, for the whole month that Florida was pursuing him, so many of us were like, all right, well, Florida's in this at least. And then, the final 2 weeks, a lot of the fan base was like, oh, it might actually be happening here. Guess not. But then you end up with Jon Sumrall. And I think that for a lot of people, that's not the name that you had really sold yourself on. And so the fan base is going to be really mad. And that's fine. That is what it is. I will say this. Everybody I've spoken to acknowledges Jon Sumrall is a hell of a coach. I know that he's a much better in-game football coach than Billy Napier. I can say that confidently.
Brandon, why didn't this is very curious to me. Why didn't Florida go after Alex Golesh and then Auburn get Sumrall? That makes so much more sense to me. I mean, he's right there. He's doing a good thing. Now, I will say Kevin Skarbinski just put a tweet out and said, so Auburn football hired a coach in Alex Golesh, who in 3 years at South Florida finished 5th, 6th, and 4th in the American with one of the best budgets and went 2 of 4 against ranked opponents and lost to UAB and Trent Dilfer. All that being said, I think Alex Golesh is a good hire, and I thought he would have been great at Florida, and it makes sense there, and I think Sumrall made sense at Auburn. I just don't understand why those two things didn't happen.
I think that Alex Golesh might have been Alex Golesh to Auburn with, I'm assuming, DJ Durkin as defensive coordinator still.
That's the assumption. Nothing's official yet.
Yeah, that's the assumption I'm going to make. If that's the case, then that's as close to a home run hire as I think you're getting out of the G5, to be honest. Pairing Golesh with a great DC.
So you would have rather had him too?
I had them both in. I had I just put tiers. They're both in tier 2 for me. So I would have been happy with anybody in tier 2. I think that when it came to the G5 approach for Florida's perspective, at least, I was very simple. If you want a defensive minded guy, go Sumrall. If you want an offensive minded guy, go Golesh. I'm happy with both. I think Sumrall's a bit riskier. Generally, I think defensive-minded head coaches, when they're making that jump, are a little bit riskier. Especially if you nail the OC hire, then you're going to have to replace an OC, and I feel like we've very often seen, every 2 years. I feel like we've very often seen a defensive-minded head coach, like, once you screw that OC hire, it's tough to win games, keep your job that way, especially because the product on field is not going to be great. But we'll see. I think for Sumrall, like, I have to reserve everything until I know what the coordinators are going to be. That's it. It's really that. Like he's going to live or die with offensive coordinators or with his coordinators. And so I'm going to bank on that. Again, from what I've been told, he's well respected. I know he's a good football coach on field. We'll see what he does recruiting wise. We'll see what he does, all of that. My biggest concern is honestly just booster buy-in, fan base buy-in, with it not being Lane Kiffin. Because with Lane Kiffin, Florida was prepared to make him, the highest paid coach with a ton of investment and a ton of all that. And as fun as it would be to just go, okay, well, they were going to give that money to Florida no matter what, depending on, like, regardless of who the hires. That's not how things work. And so for me, it's much more concerning about, are you now expecting the coach that a lot of the fans and boosters think is worse than Lane to reach the same expectations while you're also giving him fewer resources? And I think that's a tough sell.
I got an OC for you, Brandon. Bobby Petrino. You want him? It's available.
I'm reporting you to HR.
He's an OG, not an OC.
It did get me thinking, though, like, does Hugh Freeze surface somewhere? Does Brian Kelly surface somewhere? There's, maybe as a coordinator, not a head coach.
Hugh Freeze feels done to me.
Hey,
He was
he's angling for the Memphis job. If it comes open, he wants to be at the front
open.
line.
I mean, it is open, but yeah,
they're revolting at the moment. So
fair.
We're not 100% sure.
He another Schiano situation may happen. That's true.
There's an empty Winn-Dixie somewhere that Hugh Freeze is about to turn into one of those new mega churches. You can bank on that.
And maybe you get some poaching too. Like maybe Kirby Moore gets poached by Florida. I don't know. I'm just thinking outside the box here.
Moore? Seriously? You can have him.
I'm just putting some names out there of guys that could be poached. I did see two names that people floated out there because I said, where does Ole Miss go next? Obviously, Pete Golding maybe going to get a chance here to show, but a lot of people are high on Oregon's OC Will Stein. That name keeps getting floated out there for.
I'll say, can someone make a valid case for why he would come to an SC? Like Florida fans want to keep throwing his name out there. They go, just make him the highest paid OC. Why would a guy who's one more year away from a head coaching job relocate, go to a school where he's got to teach a whole new, where he has to teach all these players his new offense when he can just get great resources and investment at Oregon
against a harder schedule too?
Yeah, and Dante supposedly going back to school too. Why would you leave that?
Yeah. I'd say the only angle that would work there is that he's 36 years old and he's looking for another challenge, like a big challenge. He's really trying to prove himself that he really is that dude. That's probably the only reason why you can make the argument for that. But I don't see it either. It doesn't make any sense to leave
if you're going to
Big Ten right now without taking a head coaching job. You're going to get a head coaching job in the P4. Why leave if you don't have to?
One more thing here, guys. We just got a couple of minutes left. How many SEC teams are locks for the playoff at this point? Some people have brought up the idea that if Bama loses in the SEC title game, it's a third loss, but do you keep them out if they're playing for an SEC title? So that debate's in there. I think OU got it. They're in with the win over LSU, although, Jay, I think everybody's begging to get a matchup against Oklahoma in the playoff because, by God, Mateer stinks right now.
I really want it to. I desperately want to see teams really try to do something on this defense. I want it because that's literally the shit talk that we hear all the time is, oh, your offense is terrible, not doing anything, blah, blah, blah. Cool. You're right because they have been awful. They've been abysmal. But I ain't seen anybody really be able to do anything on this defense yet. Like really do something to this defense. So until someone can really show me that, I'm good. Now, Ole Miss doesn't count. Lane Kiffin, we don't give him props.
I was just about to pull up stats and be like,
no, we don't give him props in here, Clint. Don't you do that.
I'm sorry.
Don't you do it.
All right, my bad.
But no, like seriously, that's kind of what I'm intrigued by to see, especially now when the weather gets bad, we're probably going to be screwed. But I am very intrigued by some because we've played against, I think it was the entire month of November, we went against 3 top 20 defenses and then Tennessee's top 50. So we've played against some really good defenses. Like, we're not playing against scrubs. And I mentioned this even going into the season, that the one thing I was waiting to see from Mateer is how's he going to adjust to the SEC at the beginning. It's going to take him some time. It's going to take some time for Arbuckle because you're going to have to do it differently. These DCs are really good. And most of the defenses in the SEC have been looking really good. I mean, all the way around, even bad teams, they defenses have been looking solid except for like Kentucky and except for in one game, but and Mississippi State, except for like in 2 of their games. But Florida's defense has been really good, despite the offense not being able to do anything. LSU's defense has been good. Ole Miss has been solid on defense. Missouri's been fantastic. Georgia, of course, is always Georgia. Bama's been good. Tennessee have their moments. They started to fall apart, but these are good defenses. I just had to wait and see if he can adjust. And post-injury, he's been looking like poo in his brain. So, but I want to see somebody else play against our defense. That's what I'm intrigued by.
Real quick, we do have some breaking news. Pete Nakos putting this out there. Florida is hiring former Jaguars GM David Caldwell to be the Gators' new general manager. He's currently an executive with the Philadelphia Eagles. So this is kind of that new trend of like GMs in college. We're going to get GMs from the NFL to come run a salary cap. It's kind of an interesting move.
GMs are becoming GMs in college. Yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was the name that we were told to expect. So not exactly surprising. He was spoken to last go around when they were hiring a GM last time. Is really the aspect of some people that are, if you speak to Jags fans, they hate that man. If you speak to people that covered the Jags or worked for the Jags, they like him. They think he's smart. They just think, things went wrong when certain people got involved that probably shouldn't have been involved in football making decisions. We'll see what it is. This is one of the things with Scott Strickland that people kept talking about. Yeah, there we go. This is one of the things that people were talking about with Lane Kiffin and Scott Strickland. As an early hang-up was Scott Strickland wanted his own GM. Eventually, they got him to back off of that. But Scott's been wanting to go the NFL GM route. Congratulations. We let the idiot make another decision.
With just 3 minutes left of the show, guys. The other SEC teams in the playoffs. So we think Georgia's in, Texas A&M is in, Ole Miss should be in.
Bama.
I'm telling you right now, Ole Miss is going to get bounced.
If Ole Miss gets bounced by a room full of athletic directors because of a coach pulled this, that's a horrible precedent.
Oh, it's a horrible precedent, but there's a high chance.
I just don't even think they're on the cusp of it if there isn't this Lane situation. So that's just not even remotely fair.
Would you rather have the juxtaposition, Alabama, 2 losses, loses in the SEC, or Ole Miss with a coaching travesty that's happened? Like, I can see the committee saying,
I'd go Vandy.
Vandy is Texas. I mean, there's so many schools that are clamoring for these final 2 spots that I think the committee will be pulled in that direction. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just prepare yourself for absolute anarchy, in which case we should get rid of the committee and hire, I don't know what, maybe go back to a computer system that fairly ranks everything. I don't know.
Really, the Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, I can just kind of go circles and circles on that argument in my head forever. I have a tough one kind of sussing those 3 out. I got to be honest with you.
And Greg Sankey has to earn his money for this, because if Ole Miss gets bounced an SEC team, he's not going to be the commissioner very much longer, because it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
It's going to be fascinating. And the Texas thing is tough. I mean, look, everybody brings up the loss to Florida, but did I see the stat? They're the first team since 2019 LSU to have 3 top 10 wins. Like, we got to, like, again, I'm not saying Texas deserves to be in, but I'm saying this is what the committee needs to have, discussions. We become so desensitized to, well, if you win your games, you're in. Okay, but what if the games you played aren't as good as the teams that the other teams played?
If you only get 3-8 Florida, you're in.
I was told looking at the strength of defensive metrics was lazy, though, and shouldn't be the case when you do that. You should only go wins on the field and not have context around who you play.
Yeah, it's so stupid. And I'm with you, Clint. I almost want to go back to the computers. Let the
computer.
Because this room of people, they go, 11 is more than 10. You get in. Like, who'd you play? Like, you can't just, it's got to be a part of the discussion. Indiana got in last year. They didn't beat a top 25 team all year. They played Ohio State and they lost to them. To me, I just feel like you got to give credit to teams that are scheduling or playing tough opponents. Give them credit as opposed to people who are scheduling cupcakes and running through an easy schedule.
Everybody was making fun of automatic qualifiers 4 months ago. They're being pretty quiet right now.
Yeah. And by the way, go look at who Indiana's played the last 6 weeks. It's embarrassing.
Go look at who A&M has played all year. And I mean, you're right. These are huge things that must be considered when you're talking about who's worthy to get in the playoff. Yes, win on the field, sure. But also close wins against very good teams should count more than blowout wins against very bad teams.
Well, we'll have all week to dissect it. We'll have our squad show drop in again on Thursday at 4 o'clock. So make sure you guys check that out. And appreciate all you guys for jumping in here, man. Craziness in the SEC. It doesn't slow down. For Luke Robinson, Zach Blackerby, Stephen Willis, John Miller, Clint Shamblin, Jay Smith, Brandon Olson. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been our Locked On Squad edition. Hey, remember to subscribe and check out whichever show you like. Just search Locked On and whatever your favorite school is, and you'll find us there. This has been a Locked On SEC Squad show.
Almost done.